What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another F1 24 video. Today, again, my team. This is part 3. We are going to be racing at Australia. If you haven't watched the previous episodes, then please go do check those out. There will be some spoilers for the previous episodes coming in very soon. Right now we're just doing some activities, which obviously we're just filling up the calendar, trying to make sure things are going nicely for the team. And obviously moving on to the R&D. We've already got a few in progress. One aero, one chassis, one engine. And we do have a new sponsor to join the team. It's Opaque, which is basically just throwing it all on the car's livery, making us look a little bit more legit and not just a blank canvas for the team. Now, again, you can see we actually got a couple of points in the last race, 3 to be exact. It was Jeddah. It was a fantastic race for us. We did do a lot with the setup for that, just to, you know, maximize our straight line speed and our race pace, which really helped us out. And just like that, we have more upgrades on the car. We're moving forwards. We are gonna catch up to that midfield pack. We're gonna get in the mix and move forward from there to being a title contender. Now, just having a look at what we can do here, we really don't have that many resource points. We've got 776 there as it stands, and yeah, we did spend that just there, just again trying to get more upgrades on the car. We've been focusing on build time currently, which is basically just how long it takes the upgrades to get on the car. And yeah, really focusing on Jarno's pace, which again is kind of needed. He's sitting near the back almost every race, which, you know, he's still getting there. He's still getting used to the car, as I am. And one way of getting used to the car is through practice and qualifying and the race. Now, looking at the weather, it does seem, yeah, it's going to rain. It's going to rain during qualifying, which maybe isn't good for us. I like a much more low downforce kind of setup. Obviously not taking away from cornering, but maximizing our straight line speed. So we'll just fast forward some of this through some of this quick practice, which basically I'm just going for anything that isn't race strategy, just to make sure that during practice 3 I can go behind the wheel, do some actual race strategy, check my setup, and then get some good data for the race strategy.
And a warm welcome, everybody. We're here in the heart of Melbourne. It's Albert Park, and it's qualifying for the Australian Grand Prix.
Indeed, it is, Crofty. Thank you for the lovely intro. You can see the weather out there. It's not looking good, Brev. It's rainy. We are obviously going to have to put the inters on. And yeah, just try and do a few laps in a row here. We did leave some fuel in the car. I'm just going to try and let some cars by here, but that McLaren wasn't having it at all. He wants to stay behind, probably to get the tow, to be honest, down the first main straight and potentially down the others, although I would hate for him to overtake us through some of the corners. And you can see there's just not much grip. Obviously the racing line isn't there at all, and we just can't really put the power down. Again, we're set up for the dry here, and mainly for these long straights you have at Australia at the Albert Park circuit, and it's going okay so far. A little bit cautious potentially on the throttle, but down the straights we're going to make up all of our time up. Essentially what we lose in the corners, as we can show by the McLaren getting nice and close in the back end, stepping out, what we lose in the corners we're going to gain back in the straight. And that is the idea here. The McLaren's wanting to go for an overtake, but we're going to just brake a little bit later, try and tip the car in, put the throttle down. We're all over the curbs there, which isn't necessarily a good place to be in the wet. And here we go. In theory, we should slowly start to drop this guy. But again, they're in a McLaren. That car is just so good all round compared to ours. And we try and tip it in here. A little bit of oversteer mid sort of chicane there. But again, we're going to turn the battery on, just try and dip from this guy. And I think I got a little bit on the grass there, which affected my turn-in massively and threw me out onto the outside curb. And I was struggling with this corner for a lot of the weekend, actually. Just getting the balance right between kind of chucking it in, hitting the apex, and also giving plenty of space on the outside so that I don't, you know, slide out wide and hit a barrier. So there we are, dead last at the minute. We're going to see if the tyres are now nicely warmed up, which they definitely were struggling in that first corner. Again, just taking a little bit too much speed, I think. And again, we're already 0.2 down on our previous time. Not the best, but we're learning the track a little bit more. We did have quite a few slides in the previous lap, which we didn't this time around at that corner specifically. And we've already picked up an extra couple of tenths just from those 2 slides we had in those 2 previous corners on the previous lap. And again, keeping it a little bit neater there, not having to try and outbrake the McLaren. We now have more than a second on the Delta. I can't believe this myself. Even when I was driving, I had no idea where that time was coming from. And as you can see, we do have a purple middle sector somehow as we're running down the back straight here. Again, just passing, I think that was Ricardo in the Visa Cash App RB. So we tip it in a bit nicer this time. Over a second up on our time. But in the bottom right, as you can see, we're on the low fuel mode. We've run out of fuel here. Just a couple of push laps really drained the fuel. At least we didn't put enough fuel into the car. So again, it's still raining, I think. But apparently we have an unsuitable tyre warning. Has it gotten wetter outside? I've no idea. But we've switched to the appropriate tyres. We have a look, and what you can actually see in the very bottom was that it's sunny now.
Right, the car's ready.
The weather is good, apparently. So we're on slicks, we're on the soft tyre. I don't know how much grip there is out here. I don't think there's too much, but DRS has been enabled, so clearly it's dry enough fully for the slick tyres, or at least that's what the FIA think. We did run a little bit deep. Obviously, we're fast forwarding through this outlap for you. This is not my actual pace. If it was, I would be in esports and not my 9 to 5. Now here we go, starting the last lap. Still a little bit low grip, sort of at that higher speed area. Again, I don't have much downforce here. Obviously, I've got a couple of upgrades on the car, nothing too fancy, but I'm also running that setup that is specifically designed for low drag parts of the circuit like this straight here. I'm trying to tip it in here, and we do run a little bit wide. Try and keep it on the track, and another little slide there and onto the grass. So I think we're possibly going to abandon this as I touch the grass again. It's really coming apart here, but we're still half a second up on our Delta. It was at this point I wasn't sure if the Delta was working. I have to say it was very confusing because this whole time down this straight we're somehow gaining the time.
That's 5 minutes to go.
Now, we do have 5 minutes. We could potentially box, put on new fresh softs as we heavily cut that corner. We could put on the new set of softs in the pits, in the garage, and come out and try again. But I just thought, nah, we can do it. We've got a bit of fuel. These tyres might be a bit worn, but everybody else so far has done a lap on inters, and that is it. So I think even during this lap where we're 3.5 seconds up on our time, is it going to be 4 seconds? Yes, 4 seconds puts us P1. Purely from not being on inters. It's crazy. And here we've already gained a couple of tenths in the first corner. We're going for this lap straight away. We might not have the battery for it to maximize the time, but we're just going to try and fix our mistakes in the last lap, in the last qualifying run. We've already picked up more than a second. The grip is coming every single lap here. Ideally, you want to be the last car across the line as we do a purple sector 1. Tip it through the right-hander there. Keep it as close to the grass as you dare. And almost 2 seconds up, half a lap round, compared to our previous soft tyre run. I'm going to try and tip it in here. We'll try not to cut the corner as much because it does tend to spit you out wide. That was handled pretty nicely as we just unwind the steering wheel slightly, let ourselves run onto the curb and really get that exit. And try not to touch that red sausage curb on the inside of that last corner. That does just bounce the car out wide. That was okay, sort of third from last corner. And here we go, sort of run up to the line, turn on the DRS, over 3 seconds faster. And you can see everybody is coming out of the garage now. And I need to do a cool down lap of some sort and try and go again. See if there's any more time in this lap. We know where the grip is. These guys have just been out, just coming out of the pits now for the first time on soft tyres. We are fast forwarding through this lap as I'm trying to let people go so I can recharge my battery in peace. And it's causing absolute chaos. The AI don't like overtaking someone who is potentially on a hot lap, but we do manage to let everybody go. It was a bit chaotic there for a second, but here we go. The tyres are freezing cold because of all that. We took a minute longer on that lap than the previous lap to get around, just from letting everyone else go first. Here we go. Run up the line. We do make it. 30 seconds left in the session, so we are good. As there's someone on the apex. That was Oscar Piastri. That was very, very scary, and look how close that was to ripping off our wheel, or Piastri's wheel, or just, yeah, breaking a wing, which would ruin our lap. We already have 1.7 seconds on our previous time. We don't really have the battery for this. Verstappen rightfully takes his top spot. Norris then dethrones him. But we've gone all the way down to P15 from setting those electric laps straight out of the gate on dries. Sainz then goes top as we're just behind our teammate Jarno Opmeer as we take way too much curb there. Did unsettle the car slightly, but we're almost 3 seconds up again. So this is looking like it's going to be a 1:20.3, something like that, and that's going to put us P17. It's a pretty good result, all things considered. We had softs that were 2 laps already used at that point. So we actually have a couple of penalties in the grid there. But you can see actually Sergio Perez took the top spot, followed by the 2 Spaniards of Fernando Alonso and Carlos Sainz. Daniel Ricciardo got a 5th-place grid penalty. And Logan Sargent did as well. But Oscar Piastri never set his time on the softs. I'm assuming that's because he went off at turn 1 and then couldn't recover. Obviously his lap was ruined at that point. And there you could say illegal blocking was the reason for those penalties there. But everybody did inters first, naturally it's in the wet, and then soft, which is why the lap times just tumbled at the end. And I ended up in P17 after claiming provisional pole, surprisingly, after that first run on the softs.
Well, once upon a time, this used to be the season opener before it fell victim to a pandemic reshuffling. But now Albert Park is back at the heart of the F1 calendar, so welcome to sun-kissed Melbourne for the Australian Grand Prix. We go racing today then in the state of Victoria, where the drivers have 14 corners and 3.28 miles to navigate at an average lap speed of around 120 miles per hour. The close proximity of the barriers make accidents inevitable, and recent history shows us that a safety car is not at all out of the question. It's time to take a look at our starting grid for today's race. Max Verstappen put in a fantastic lap yesterday, and he'll start from pole position. And it's Charles Leclerc in P2. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Norris, Sainz, Perez, Russell, Hamilton, Fernando Alonso, Stroll, Albon, Ocon, Gasly, Bottas, Magnussen, Hulkenberg, Brown, Ricciardo, Tsunoda, Joe, the owner driver, Oscar Piastri, and Logan Sargent. Which of these talented drivers will come out on top today? And joining me in the commentary box this afternoon, the First Lady of World Motorsports, Naomi Schiff. As we all know, every single driver wants to know what's required of them. And in the case of this driver, I think things are pretty stable at the moment, that they're doing what the team require. I know what we've got to do before the start of today's race, but what about our driver? What do the final hours look like for them?
Well, every driver certainly has their own way of preparing themselves before a race. But I can tell you that pre-race rituals are a real thing. When I was in go-karting, I used to touch every wheel in a specific sequence before I got into the kart. And then I stepped up to cars and had a specific set of fireproof base layers just for race day. So watch the drivers when they're on the grid. Some may be sitting on the floor and isolating, others may be up to other things that they do. But these little things really help their minds get ready for the race.
Okay, this is Mark. Can you hear me? Listen, a points finish might be too much to ask today, but just give it your best shot.
Indeed we will, Mark. Don't you worry, I've been doing my pre-race rituals as well. I've been playing Snake on the steering wheel. It's fantastic. Great game if you've never tried it before. Don't play it. It was good when phones didn't have internet or anything, but other than that, we're going to have a look at the race strategy. So, I think it was saying medium hard was the best strategy. I'll probably have to go back and check that. But I think we're going to try and overcut here. Safety cars are possible, as Crofty said in his message. And yeah, I kind of want a safety car, bit of safety car drama. We, wait for the safety car, pit when there's a safety car, gain a bunch of positions, have fresher tyres, go forward, win the race. Easy. Easy as that. But yeah, I think we're going to stick with the hard medium strategy here. It's not too much slower than the sort of medium strategy. I'm going to take some fuel out. We don't need 21.1 laps. I'm slowly making this closer to the actual amount of laps that we have, but I think today we'll stick with 21. We'll go from there. But here we go. On the grid, as the lights start to light up, everyone around on mediums. Lights are on. Now they're out as we go racing in Australia. A little bit of wheel spin on the start there, but overall an okay getaway for us here as we're going to go down the inside on Magnussen, take it a little bit cautious and go onto the grass. We don't know sort of if we're 3 wide, anything like that in the first corner, and I don't want to lose my wing. And all the hard effort as we almost hit the back of Ricciardo. Managed to get the car stopped as he sort of bumps into the side of us. There's a little bit of contact there, so we're going to let Jarno go at least, hold everyone else behind us, just so that, I don't want to be in front of Jarno too much when I'm on hards and he's on mediums. Again, Ricciardo just sent us wide after sort of giving us a little nudge. He definitely got his elbows out there, didn't want to give up the position. He will have seen that we're on hards and known that he will be faster in this opening stage of the race. And yeah, there's no point sitting behind a hard runner if you don't have to when you're on medium. So we're going to take the spot back from Jarno. He wasn't really looking like he was going to challenge Tsunoda there. But we'll potentially give him a helping hand, try and work as a team here to get through this pack. Has someone got damage up here? Or are they all just sort of single file, going a little bit slowly on the first lap? And here we go. DRS is enabled. We won't get it until the back straight now. But we'll see what we can do, see if we can keep with these medium tyre runners, which we are doing nicely as we move on to lap 4. Jarno and Joe are sort of sliding backwards in this race a little bit, as we're now going to go for the move. This is on Tsunoda. Go round the outside, at the next right-hander as we try and squeeze him out a little bit, and he does give up the place. So obviously the medium tyres will wear a lot faster than the hards, which is why I wanted to put them on. I sort of let everybody else run their race for a few laps, and now I'm really trying to go on the attack because we're looking to get past Ricciardo in the straight, and look at the overspeed we have on him with a bit of the battery. It's a little bit of a close call though as he tried to squeeze us to the inside, and we get that overtake done way before this sort of high speed chicane. And with the speed we were able to carry through there from mounting some of those curbs, we're down the inside of Magnussen, try and give him the space on the outside, but he backs out of it. And now we're on the back of Bottas. I think this is a crossover point between the hards and the mediums. Believe it or not, it's just how the tyre wear is going. It's a very high deg track, I would say. I mean, to suggest that the medium hard is the best way to go. Ooh, very close to the wall there. As we're trying to follow Bottas as closely as possible, we do lock up a little bit in that right-hander. And we're turning on the battery again. See if we can just get past this medium runner of Valtteri Bottas before the high-speed chicane. But Hülkenberg is going very slowly because he does not have DRS. And we actually get a 2-for-1 there. Very good deal. We kind of attacked Bottas and got the slipstream from Hülkenberg, and then just nicely went round the outside of Hülkenberg before the braking zone. But as I was saying before, I think the hards are starting to come into this race. They have a couple of laps where they need to warm up fully to get all of the grip. Well, I say all of the grip, what grip they have, sort of put into the tyres. We are under pressure a little bit from Hülkenberg. You know, the crossover is about here, but you need a really good lap on the hards to match an okay lap on the mediums. If they're racing well and they're not holding each other up, we really have to push to try and keep with them. But we are sitting nicely in this DRS train. There's Gasly and Ocon ahead, and then ahead of them, I believe that is Alex Albon. We'll have to check that when we get up there. We're going to open the DRS here, go up the inside of Gasly, I believe this is, and they're side by side up front as well as we send it even further. And we go inside then outside of Esteban Ocon, I believe, as his engine has given up. They saw that they were getting overtaken by a Budo racing car, and they thought, yeah, nah, we're falling back. No point being in this race, we give up. That's how slow our car must seem. I mean, even the Williams, look at how much drive he gets from the last corner. Albon has been doing very well this season. P10 at the moment, he is gaining a point in this race for Williams. But we are really trying to maximise every inch of the tracks. We go down the inside of Albon into this tight right-hander. We try and leave a bit of room, but naturally he backs out. You don't really want to be on the outside there, as Mark tells us of rain potentially coming. So I'm now thinking, do I stick it out on the hard? It was, you know, potentially a little bit too long for us to wait as we peel into the pits. We were actually in P1 there. We did skip a few laps because it was just driving around in circles, but we'd actually waited till everybody else pitted. The leaders were on our gearbox, and there's an issue in the pit stop. The left front was really struggling there to grip up properly, and all those drivers we overtook before, when we were on the hard, before the pit stops, before they pitted, are now back in front of us, with the exception of Ricciardo. So that's, even Piastri's still back here. There must be something with his car that means he's unable to extract the full pace of that McLaren. Potentially he's just getting kind of held back in a DRS train, finding it hard to overtake potentially. He might have even set up for the rain. We don't know fully at this point in time as we go onto the grass there, which is not a good idea in this game. if you're playing it for yourself, you kind of lose all grip for a few seconds if you touch the grass or gravel at any point. Obviously only on those tyres. And we're just trying to see where can we make some overtakes here. We do have 7 laps of the race left. We do have a lot of battery. Do we do the same thing we've been doing all race? Try and get right up close to them here in this braking zone. Put the power down nicely. And then go for a little move on this back straight as we almost collide with Hulkenberg. And as soon as we turn off the battery, Hulkenberg's got really good straight line speed with that DRS. But we do turn the battery back on as his teammate Magnussen potentially makes a little bit of a mistake. He's very slow in that chicane, and whether it was dumb luck or precise, accurate genius, I somehow got the overtake done. As you can imagine, it was definitely the former, which was extreme luck and not absolute genius that helped us make that move. Now, moving on to lap 14, a lap later, or half a lap later, we're on the back of Piastri. Gasly and Tsunoda, a little bit of a bottleneck here, just holding back Bottas and Piastri. We do make the move stick on Piastri, we kind of squeeze him out a little bit on the exit. And for Bottas here, we're just trying to stay as close as possible, see if we can make a move down any of these long straights where we know we have the advantage, and the rain is here.
Caution, caution.
I'm not sure if I've seen that before now, or if it's just come up on the screen, but the rain has arrived. We are on the softer tyre, so we should have a bit more pace than these guys initially. But obviously the AI are very good in the wet. As we go down the inside of Bottas, try and keep it side by side, give him a squeeze on the inside of the next turn, and try to get straight onto the back of Gasly and Tsunoda.
These conditions are making the line a bit greasy, but we're still nowhere near the changeover point.
Nowhere near the changeover, nowhere near the inters. Line's getting greasier and greasier. In the laps in between now and when we overtook Bottas, Tsunoda and Gasly have just been swapping places. They do again now. And yeah, I'm trying to just find some grip, keep my head in the game. Try not to risk it too much as we're going to send it down the inside of Gasly, but we do hit our car. I say lock. We do hit our front wing on his back right tyre, which thankfully no damage. We are on simulation damage, but we were very lucky with that one. Now we're on the back of Tsunoda. Again, trying to make these moves stick before the rain gets too heavy and we lose all of our grip. Moving on to lap 17, we can definitely outbrake them into there. We do always run onto that curb, which maybe in the wet is not a good idea, but we're just going to try and use everything we have to get that P10 position. To Tsunoda squeezes us onto the grass. We just make it up the inside there and into this high-speed chicane. We now have Alex Albon in front of us, and strangely enough, Max Verstappen with the fastest lap, a few seconds ahead of Albon. I don't think we're going to get there. There's not enough laps remaining. There's no way we're going to be more than a few seconds a lap faster than Max Verstappen. Are we? No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. We're going to try and get Albon here, but the rain is getting worse. The grip is getting much less now, as you can already see that, again, the traction of that Williams out of the final corner, really not, well, it's just so much better than ours, as we do go a little bit squirrely in the first couple of turns, and that puts us under massive pressure from Tsunoda and Gasly, as that 3 wide with us now. We're sort of sandwiched in the middle, and we're going to try and hold it. We do somehow manage to brake a bit late, and yeah, whoever was on the outside gave up. They backed out of it, and whoever was on the inside got a little squeeze as we moved through to the next corner. Now Albon in that time has pulled 2 seconds ahead of us. There are 2 laps left. It's very rainy. We're on mediums. We do have another big slide out of that high-speed chicane. The grip is falling away from us here. But we have Tsunoda and Gasly chasing us down. They're on the hards. They have better traction, less tyre wear. Potentially worse tyres for the wet. But I think with the tyre wear and the AI's strength being perfectly finding the traction every time, or most of the time, they're in a really strong position here, as we're on lap 19 now of this 20 lap race, and we're just trying to keep the car in a straight line, keep the car on the track, and keep those cars behind us. Again, another little slide there in the anti-penultimate corner. If you don't know what that means, penultimate is second to last, anti-penultimate is third to last. There you go, you learn something new every day. But look at the train we've got behind us now. Tsunoda followed by Gasly. And Tsunoda's just going there. There's even Piastri in this train as well. We're just going to try and take everybody to the Ministry of Defence for questioning. We do cut Tsunoda off a little bit there, but I don't think he will mind. Or at least I don't mind. As Gasly tries to hold it around the outside, but we're never going to give you any space there. Not now. We have 1 point to our name in this race. Can we hold on to it and keep those cars behind? Again, they are so much quicker than us right now. We really just have to hold on. We've got half a lap-ish to go. Is Gasly, is he coming again? Yes, he's coming. I think the DRS is still on. I think. Maybe. I didn't see, but as we go into the high-speed chicane, you can see everyone there as we have a snap in the middle. But we managed to keep it straight and tidy. Gasly trying to look for the inside. We shut that down immediately, and look at this gaggle of cars behind us as we leave. Space on the outside, sort of sit awkwardly in the middle. We don't want to give Gasly the inside because he will just out-traction us. And coming into the last couple of corners, you can see he is all over the rear of our car. We're just trying to hold it together for these last couple of corners. It's so sketchy out there. As you can see, the back end always wanting to step out. We don't have much battery left as Gasly's gaining and gaining. But do we hold on to it? We do.
And that's the end of the race. We'll see
that was a hard-fought point. We somehow got driver of the day. I guess from all that defending at the end.
Charles Leclerc, what a drive, what a victory, he wins! And here we are, a team that is no stranger to the podium, taking their place on top once again. A sublime race today, and a stunning win for Ferrari.
There you go. Charles Leclerc, Lando Norris, Carlos Sainz. Very good showing from Ferrari so far this season. They are taking the fight to Red Bull. Obviously in this universe, Red Bull have won 22 and 23. But it seems like Ferrari's back on form. They're leading the constructors. I'm pretty sure Charles Leclerc is leading the Drivers' Championship. Now they are celebrating their new win on the top step of the podium.
Well, that was certainly an exciting weekend of Formula One. Be sure to join us for more exciting Formula One action very soon.
And I'm sure we will, Crofty. Thank you for commentating the openings of the qualifying and the race. Now, Charles Leclerc first, as I said, Lando Norris, Carlos Sainz, then Lewis Hamilton, Sergio Perez, Fernando Alonso, George Russell, Max Verstappen with the fastest lap. Max Verstappen started on P1, ended up in P8, not a great showing today. Alex Albon in 9th, great for Williams, P10 for us. Gasly, Piastri, Tsunoda, Magnussen, Bottas, Hülkenberg, Ricciardo, Zhou Guanyu, Logan Sargent, Jarno Opmeer, Lance Stroll, who DNF'd alongside Esteban Ocon, who we saw break down earlier in the race. Now to the standings. Again, Charles Leclerc, Carlos Sainz, both at the top of the Drivers' Championship. 1-2 for Ferrari currently. It's quite close up there. There's quite a few drivers within sort of a race wins distance. And constructors, obviously Ferrari's on top. And we are P7, just behind Williams. We're actually matching Williams right now who are in P6. So I think that's the kind of fight that we have on our hands this season, is with Williams and potentially Alex Albon specifically. It's me versus Albon, Jarno versus Logan Sargent. But what a race. What a race. The rain at the end really kind of held us back, halted our progress. But overall, happy with that. Good defending. A little bit questionable. Very hard racing. But that's it. You're going to have the highlights now so you can rewatch some of those moments. But we'll be back next week for Suzuka, the Japanese Grand Prix. If you've been missing these episodes, if you haven't seen them in order, there is a playlist that will be at the end of this video with every single episode so far, including the full setup of the settings and everything we're running for this season of My Team Career Mode. And yeah, if you're missing videos, you need to subscribe. Easiest way to know, as soon as I post a video, watch the newest episode and see the highlights of it at the end. That was the turn 3 incident with Ricardo. But yeah, that's it. A good race. I think it's races that we've had like the past 2 races that show that we can do this as a team. It shows that the team's going in the right direction and potentially gives us a car we can use to get more funding. You know, we've got our proof of concept now. We can show sponsors and potential partners that we have the pace to challenge. We can move forward in Formula 1. And I think at the back end of this weekend there was talks going on between the team and a potential partner who might be joining the team for the next race. Who that is, we'll have to find out next week. If you want to make sure you don't miss that, subscribe. If you enjoyed the episode, leave a like. And I will leave you with the rest of these highlights. And I'll catch you all in Suzuka.